My name is Clara Wynne, and this is the story of how I lost everything. And then took it all back. I used to believe that truth always won in the end. That justice, no matter how delayed, would eventually arrive like some noble cavalry to rescue the innocent and punish the wicked. That belief was crushed, one lie at a time, in a courtroom where every seat was filled with someone who wanted to see me fall. I met Nathaniel when I was 22. He was charming in the way all manipulators are. He listened intently, laughed at all the right moments, and made you feel like the center of gravity had shifted around you. I was a second-year law student. He was an up-and-coming investment advisor with connections and an intoxicating self-assurance. 3 years later, we were married. I traded mock trials for morning meetings, my bar prep for baby prep. When our daughter Hannah was born, I put my career on pause. Nathaniel said he needed me to handle the home front while he scaled. I agreed. I believed in partnership, in love, in us. And that's exactly what he counted on. Started unraveling slowly. A lipstick stain on a collar that he swore was from a hug. Business trips that grew longer. Vacant stares across the dinner table. Then one evening he didn't come home. Instead, I got a knock at the door and a courier handed me a sealed envelope. Petition for divorce. Full custody requested. Primary residence claimed. No note. No warning. Just war. The next 6 months were a blur of betrayal. He moved in with Jessica, our former neighbor, and my supposed friend. She and I had shared wine nights. Don't talk. Secrets. Apparently, she shared more than that with Nathaniel. Then came the worst blow. He sued for sole custody of Hannah. He said I was emotionally unstable, that I struggled to maintain a consistent household, that I was paranoid and controlling, words echoed from carefully rehearsed mouths. His mother took the stand and said I was always too dramatic. His father described me as erratic and manipulative. And Jessica, she claimed I had once screamed at Hannah so violently she feared for the child's safety. I sat in that courtroom numb. Each accusation chipped away at something sacred. No one mentioned the 12 years of dedication. The nights I stayed up with Hannah when she was sick. The time I covered for Nathaniel when his business dipped and we were drowning in credit card debt. No one cared. They had a story to tell, and I was the villain in it. My lawyer Angela Park had warned me. This isn't about truth, she said, sipping bitter black coffee. It's about perception. They're building a narrative. You need to stay silent until it's time. I wanted to scream, fight, to shout down the lies. But I trusted her. Angela was sharp as a scalpel and twice as dangerous. She didn't just know the law, she understood people. She'd sat across from me during our first consultation, listened to the entire tangled history, and then quietly asked, "Do you have anything that proves collusion?" At the time I didn't. Not until the accidental gift that would change everything came on a Tuesday. I was cleaning out an old drawer in the kitchen, trying to avoid thinking about the hearing scheduled for the next day, when I found my old phone, dead and dusty. I plugged it in out of habit. As it came to life, a notification blinked. One voicemail, March 18th, 2 months ago. The day after Nathaniel served me with the custody papers. Curious, I tapped to play. And then I heard them. Jessica's voice. "God, she's gonna lose it." Nathaniel's laugh. "She always does. Just stick to the script, babe." His father. "Make sure you mention the screaming. Judges hate emotional instability." Jessica again. "And say she left Hannah in the tub once. That'll land." Laughter. More voices. Toasting. Nathaniel. "Cheers to getting everything we want. She's done." My knees buckled. My hand shook so violently I dropped the phone. They'd planned this, rehearsed it, manufactured a whole case. They had taken my life, my child, and turned it into a performance. Angela stared at me in disbelief when I played her the audio. "You're telling me this sat in your junk drawer for 2 months?" I nodded, still shaking. "I never checked that phone. I didn't know." She smiled. "But it wasn't joy. It was cold, calculated satisfaction. This changes everything. The courtroom on the final day of trial was packed. Jessica arrived in a silk blouse, holding Nathaniel's hand like they were on their way to brunch. His parents followed, smug and rehearsed. I sat alone at the plaintiff's table, hands folded, face unreadable. Angela stood when the judge asked if we had closing remarks. She didn't launch into a speech. She didn't summarize our defense. She just looked the judge square in the eye and said, "Play it." The bailiff handed over a USB. The judge nodded. And then the courtroom filled with voices. Jessica's, Nathaniel's, his father's, plotting, laughing, coaching lies. Jessica's face went pale. Nathaniel stiffened. His mother covered her mouth. The judge leaned forward slowly, lips pressed into a tight line. He didn't pause the audio. He let it run. Every single word. When it ended, silence fell like a dropped curtain. Angela broke it. "Your Honor, that recording is timestamped the day after Ms. Wynne was served. It includes direct admissions of perjury, collusion, and custodial manipulation. We ask that the court dismiss all claims against my client immediately, and that these parties be held in contempt." The judge's voice was low but lethal. "I will be taking this under serious advisement." Nathaniel tried to speak. The judge cut him off. "Mr. Raines, do not say another word unless advised by counsel." Outside the courtroom, I didn't cry. I didn't cheer. I simply sat on the bench, staring at the sunlight streaming through the courthouse windows. Angela sat beside me. "You did good," she said. I looked at her. "No, you did." She smiled. 2 words. That's all it took. 2 hours after the courtroom bombshell, I received a text from an unknown number. "You ruined everything." It was Jessica. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The truth had finally echoed loud enough to reach the people who had tried so hard to bury it. The judge issued a formal ruling within 48 hours. The petition for full custody, dismissed with prejudice. Nathaniel's testimony, struck from the record. Jessica, referred to the district attorney for perjury. But the consequences were just beginning. Angela filed an emergency petition for primary custody of Hannah, citing endangerment and psychological abuse. And this time, the judge listened. When I saw Hannah again, she ran into my arms with such force I nearly fell backward. "Mommy!" she squealed, clutching my neck. "I missed you so much." I held her so tightly it hurt. Nathaniel had poisoned her against me for weeks, but kids know. Deep down they always know who is real, who shows up, who loves without conditions. She sat on my lap while Angela gave her a quiet, friendly interview in my living room. "Do you remember anyone ever telling you what to say about your mom?" she asked gently. Hannah looked puzzled. "Daddy said I should tell people you got mad a lot. But I didn't want to." Angela smiled at me later. "That's called coercion. And it's going to bury him." Meanwhile, the media storm hit. A local news outlet had picked up the court transcript and ran the headline. "Shocking courtroom audio reveals perjury plot in custody case." Within hours, social media exploded. Nathaniel's face was splashed across platforms. His company's website was taken down for maintenance. By the end of the week, he was no longer affiliated with his firm. And Jessica, her job as a school administrator was quietly re-evaluated. Turns out schools don't appreciate perjurers. Angela advised me to lie low. But I couldn't help reading the comments. "This woman's strength is unreal." He had the whole system fooled. Disgusting. Justice, finally. Some were skeptical. Some were brutal. But most were with me. Still, there was one thing that haunted me. I couldn't stop thinking. How long had they planned this? And worse, was my entire life with him, my marriage, our family, just a stage he built to destroy when it was convenient? Angela wasn't done. "I want to go after full custody," she said one morning over coffee. "Not shared. Not alternating weekends." He lied under oath. He coached a child. We can argue emotional endangerment. But Hannah loves him, I whispered. She needs her dad. Angela paused. She needs stability. And he's proven he'll destroy that for his own ego. He nodded. Okay, I said. Let's fight. We didn't expect the countersuit. Nathaniel filed a civil complaint for defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress. You read that right. The man who had schemed, lied, and manipulated my entire reality was now saying he was the victim. Angela nearly choked on her tea when she read the documents. This is a PR stunt. He's trying to make noise so people stop looking at what really happened. We prepared a response. But the best part, discovery. Because filing a civil case meant Nathaniel had to open up his world to inspection. Emails, texts, financial records. And that was how we found everything. It started with a thread of emails between Nathaniel and a man named Brent Keller. Angela read them with growing alarm. Brent used to be a district mediator, she said. He was fired for ethical violations. One email read, "You sure she doesn't have anything? Recordings, documents? Not a chance. She's emotional. Won't think straight." Then we're clear. Let Jess take the emotional angle. You play concerned dad. Slam dunk. There were more. Wire transfers to Jessica's brother, who happened to be a private investigator. Surveillance reports. Photos of me at parks, at grocery stores, even picking up Hannah from school. This isn't just manipulation, Angela muttered. This is premeditated character assassination. My hands trembled. He stalked me, she nodded, and paid someone else to do it. From a personal account. That's your smoking gun. The civil suit was dropped before we even filed our countersuit. Nathaniel's attorney must have seen the evidence and panicked. But the real surprise came when the DA's office called. "Ms. Wynne, we'd like you to testify," the voice said. "We're opening a criminal investigation into Nathaniel Raines and Jessica Loring. Conspiracy to commit perjury, child coercion, harassment, fraud." Froze. It was finally happening. He was going to face real consequences. The next court date wasn't family court. It was criminal. And this time, Nathaniel was the one sitting silently as the judge reviewed his case file with visible disgust. He didn't smile. Jessica sat 3 rows back, avoiding eye contact. The DA stood, crisp and commanding. "Your Honor, we intend to prove that Mr. Raines orchestrated a campaign of psychological warfare to destroy the credibility of Ms. Wynne and secure sole custody of their daughter through fabricated claims and coordinated testimony." The judge looked up. "And you have evidence?" "Yes," the DA replied, "including wire transfers, intercepted emails, and recorded conversations." Nathaniel's attorney stood. "We'd like to request a deal." But the judge cut him off. "Not yet. I want to hear from the victim." They turned to me. I stood slowly, every eye in the room on me. And for the first time in a very long time, I wasn't scared. I told the truth, from beginning to end. Not just the legal facts but the emotional devastation. I spoke of the betrayal, the way it broke something permanent inside me. The way I lost faith, not just in Nathaniel but in myself. The night I found the voicemail. The moment Hannah clutched my neck like I was her whole world. The pit in my stomach when I realized he had followed me for weeks. I didn't cry. But the silence in that room was heavier than any scream. When I finished, the judge nodded. "We'll proceed." That night, I watched the news with a strange sense of distance. Breaking. Investment advisor and former school administrator face criminal charges in custody scheme. Photos of Nathaniel in a suit, handcuffed. Jessica behind sunglasses, ducking into a car. The internet erupted again. But this time I didn't read the comments. I just watched Hannah color a picture on the floor, humming to herself. She was drawing our house. She put me in it. And the cat. No one else. Angela called the next morning. "You did it," she said. "No," I whispered. "We did." "Clara," she paused. You're going to be a landmark case. I didn't know what that meant. But I knew one thing. I was no longer the woman who had lost everything. I was the woman who took it all back. 3 months after the first hearing, I sat on the witness bench again. Only this time it wasn't my character on trial. It was Nathaniel's. He was no longer the polished man in a tailored suit. His face looked thinner, more sunken. Jessica didn't show up at all. The DA had cut her a deal. A lighter sentence in exchange for full cooperation and testimony. I wasn't angry. I didn't need vengeance. I needed closure. Angela sat beside me, flipping through her notes with the ease of someone who'd already won. But she still whispered, "Don't relax yet. Courtrooms are full of ghosts. Let's finish this clean." The judge entered. The prosecution laid out everything. The emails between Nathaniel and Jessica, planning the custody fraud. The voicemail recording confirming the coaching. The private investigator payments, tracking me for weeks. The financial records, showing that Nathaniel diverted money from his daughter's trust fund to pay for surveillance and bribes. The courtroom listened. Nathaniel never looked up. Then came Jessica's turn. I braced myself. She walked to the stand wearing a neutral dress and no makeup. She looked like a washed-out version of the woman who used to gossip on my couch with a glass of rose. She didn't cry. She didn't excuse. She simply said, "Nathaniel said she didn't deserve the kid. He said Clara had never done anything but ride his coattails. He told me if we won the case, he'd marry me and we'd raise Hannah together. But it was never really about the child." The courtroom murmured. The DA leaned in. "What was it about, Ms. Loring?" Jessica took a breath. "It was about winning, about control, about punishment." And then she looked directly at me. "I'm sorry." I didn't nod, didn't flinch. But something loosened in my chest. Not forgiveness, not yet, but acknowledgement. And sometimes that's the first crack in the wall. When it was time for final statements, Angela stood. Her voice calm. "Teddy, Your Honor, this wasn't a simple custody dispute. It was a carefully coordinated campaign of psychological warfare, executed by a man who believed the legal system could be twisted to his will." She looked toward the defense table. "He involved his family, his romantic partner, and most disturbingly, he used a child as a weapon. Clara Wynne isn't just a mother. She's a survivor of legal, emotional, and financial abuse. And she stood here today, not to punish, but to protect her daughter from further harm." She closed the file in front of her. "We ask for the maximum penalty under the law." The judge called a recess. The room emptied slowly. I stepped outside the courthouse, the summer heat clinging to my skin. I stood in silence, feeling the weight of everything pressing down, and finally lifting. Angela joined me. "You okay?" He nodded. "I just want it to be over." He checked her watch. 1 more hour. When we returned, the courtroom was packed again. The judge's expression was unreadable, but his voice was decisive. In the matter of criminal conspiracy, harassment, perjury, and custodial interference. He looked at Nathaniel. "I find the defendant guilty on all counts." Whispers. The judge continued. "You are hereby sentenced to 5 years incarceration, with eligibility for parole after 2. You are also ordered to pay restitution to Ms. Wynne for legal expenses, lost income, and emotional damages." And then the final blow. "Furthermore, your parental rights are suspended indefinitely pending full psychological evaluation and review by the family court." I didn't exhale until the gavel struck. It was done. Nathaniel didn't fight. No appeal. No last-minute theatrics. He stood slowly as the bailiff cuffed him, and for a split second, just a flicker, he looked at me. Not hate, not anger, just hollowness, like the game was over, and the player no longer mattered. Jessica received 2 years of probation, community service, and a court-mandated public apology. It aired one night on a local channel. I didn't watch it, but Angela did. She named you. took responsibility. It won't undo what she did, but it was real. That was enough for me. Weeks passed, then months, focused on Hannah. Her laughter, her drawings, the way she curled into me during bedtime stories. She asked about her dad sometimes. When can I see him again? I was honest. He's not well right now, honey. He needs help. She nodded like she understood more than she should. I still love him, she said once, tracing circles on my hand. I know, I whispered. And that's okay. Then came the letter. It arrived in a plain envelope. No return address. I recognized the handwriting instantly. It was from Nathaniel. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Clara, I won't ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I watched the footage from court. I listened to the voicemail again. And I realized something. I never actually beat you. I just delayed you. You were always smarter, kinder, stronger. I don't know why I tried to take that away. Maybe because I never had it. I'm getting help now. Maybe one day I'll be someone Hannah can speak to without shame. Until then, I'll stay out of the way. I folded the letter, tucked it away in the back of my drawer. I wouldn't reply, but for the first time in a long time I believed he meant every word. Life resumed in strange new colors. I enrolled in law school again, finished what I started. Angela offered me a position in her firm. Paralegal for now, she winked. Attorney soon. Said yes, not because I wanted revenge, but because I had earned my place at that table. One day after work, I found Hannah sitting on the porch. She held a drawing. It was a courtroom. A woman with brown hair and a confident smile stood behind a desk. Next to her was a little girl, holding her hand. What's this? Asked, kneeling. It's us, she said. You're helping people. I blinked fast. And who are you helping? She smiled wide. You. Angela later told me our case was cited in a dozen legal journals. They called it a turning point in how courts handle manipulative custody tactics. They said one phrase became shorthand for exposing courtroom lies. Play it. 2 words. That's all it took. But behind those 2 words were years of silence, of strength, of scars no one saw. They underestimated me. But now they tell my story in law schools. And every time a woman is accused, isolated, or disbelieved, she remembers that courtroom. And 2 words that changed everything. Dear viewers, thank you for watching. If you like this story, please subscribe to our channel to receive more stories every day. Share with us what you think of this story and tell us where you're watching from.